The purpose of these lessons is to show you the logic behind the most basic Chinese characters, beginning with the simplest pictograms, and later combining these elements to create more complex characters. This lesson is another installment introducing characters containing that ceremonial knife, pronounced xin. This knife was originally used for bloodletting as a religious purification ritual during the ancient Shang dynasty around 1600 BC. Much later, in the Han dynasty starting in 200 BC, bloodletting was looked upon as an abhorrent act, and this ceremonial knife was repurposed for tattooing or otherwise inflicting scars on criminals and slaves as punishment. In today's 6 new characters, this knife, xin, is taken especially for its connotation of punishment and criminality. In the previous installment, we reviewed the character gu from lesson 15, meaning old or ancient, from the idea that stories passed from mouth to mouth or down through 10 generations were necessarily from the distant past. When the ceremonial knife, xin, is added underneath the gu phonetic, we obtain the first tone character gu, meaning crime, guilt, or negligence in one's obligations. Literally, criminality over a long period of time. We'll begin with the phrase wu gu, meaning innocent or without guilt. 我颇以为他是无辜 I assumed he was innocent. 歹徒开枪打死了2名无辜的不读者 The gangster shot and killed 2 innocent witnesses. In lesson 34, we learned the 4th tone character, fu, depicting a man carrying his valuables around with him, which in turn extended to include carrying a load on one's back. And stretching the meaning further, anything on your back is in opposition to your face, so it means to turn your back on, disappoint, or be ungrateful. It's reviewed here. With that little refresher, we can now make the expression gu fu, literally, to be negligent by turning your back on or not living up to others' expectations. 他没有辜负你的苦心 He hasn't disregarded the painstaking efforts you've made. 你不可以辜负朋友对你的信赖 You can't betray the trust your friends have placed in you. 我认为你辜负了大家对你的好意 I feel you've disappointed the high expectations everyone had for you. Before going on to our second character, we need to mention lesson 13, which introduced several characters containing the hut or roof radical. Originally, a pictogram of a simple thatched hut built half above and half below ground. Characters containing this roof element were wan, shou, ding, and jia. Jia, according to some etymologists, depicts a family temple in the home of a minor noble during the Shang dynasty, where pigs were sacrificed to the gods. Larger animals such as oxen and goats were sacrificial offerings reserved for the emperor and feudal lords. Commoners, of course, were neither permitted nor able to afford to perform any such animal sacrifices. Today's new character is third tone zai, another character referring to slaughtering animals as sacrificial offerings to the gods. This activity was performed in the family temple by slaves of the well-to-do homeowner, who was a noble or possibly even the emperor. So, the first meaning of zai is to kill or slaughter, usually appearing in colloquial speech as the phrase zai le. 你要是拖累我，我就宰了你。If you implicate me in this, I'll kill you. 宰了他，都无法解我的心头之恨。Even murdering him would not relieve the hatred I feel inside. 若有机会，我真想宰了那个无赖。If given the chance, I'd really like to kill that scoundrel. In Lesson 53, we learned the character I, pronounced either first tone I or second tone I. Native speakers often use first and second tones interchangeably. Originally, I meant to attack by pushing a person from behind, and was extended to mean to go up close to or next to, as that attacker would do. The unlucky person who was shoved in the attack gave rise to the second meaning, to suffer an unfortunate result, such as getting beaten, 挨打, or yelled at, 挨骂. The second connotation is the one we need in our next expression, 挨宰, nearly always referring to what in English is called getting ripped off or swindled. Mandarin speakers in Taiwan tend to use first tone, 挨宰, so I will too in the following examples. 你们明知挨宰，又迫不及待地去抢购。You know you're being ripped off, and yet can't wait to get your hands on one. 一个外国人去买年货，挨宰不足为奇。It's not surprising when a foreigner gets cheated buying New Year's goods. Remember the idiom 不足为奇? Literally, it's not enough to be remarkable or surprising. 卖家开口要多少，你就给多少，那肯定白白挨宰。Giving the seller whatever he asks is a sure way to get scammed. As I mentioned earlier, slaves were in charge of this activity. In the emperor's case, everyone in the royal household, aside from family members, was actually a slave or its equivalent, including the prime minister, referred to as 宰相 in ancient China. So 宰 eventually came to mean the one in charge of important duties, or, as a verb, 主宰, to govern or control. 你是你心中的主宰. You are the master of your mind. 这个信念主宰着我们的生活. This firm conviction governs our lives. 他心里恨不得能主宰这人世间的一切. Deep down, he wishes he could control everything in this world. Before introducing our next new character, it helps to review 乱 from Lesson 57 to remind viewers of its composition. Two hands, one above and one below, attempting to comb and straighten jumbled strands of silk into that long, straight thread on the right. As would be expected, it means chaotic, confused, in total disarray, or anarchy. Today's third new character combines the left element of 乱 with 辛, creating second tone 辞, literally to disentangle the facts and accusations during criminal litigation. In everyday English, it means to dispute an allegation or deny an accusation in order to clear one's name. That's three basic actions: stating facts, denying allegations, and leaving the tribunal fully vindicated. In a nutshell, speaking, refusing, and departing. We'll begin with the examples of departing or saying goodbye, 辞别, and the idiom 不辞而别, to leave without saying goodbye. 这是我们的辞别吗? Is this our farewell? 我们不知道她为什么不辞而别. We don't know why she left without so much as a goodbye. 因为她不肯嫁， 她男友已不辞而别回英国去了。Because of her refusal to marry, her boyfriend departed abruptly and returned to England. To say goodbye before setting out on a journey is rendered as 辞行。我打电话来是向你辞行的。I'm calling to say goodbye. 今天是小赖的出国辞行派对。小赖 is going abroad, and today is his send-off party. You'll notice the English word party has been borrowed directly into Mandarin as 派对. It's often used for dance, birthday, Christmas, and send-off parties, and is often spoken just as it is in English, party. Here's another example of its use. 我们要给小刘开个生日 party. We're going to throw a birthday party for 小刘。明天我要去加拿大，特地来向你辞行。I'm leaving for Canada tomorrow and have come to say goodbye. When departing or resigning from a job, one term for it is 辞去工作。你生了宝宝之后，要辞去工作吗？ Will you quit your job after having a baby? 我的父亲被迫辞去工厂领班的工作。My father was forced to quit his job as a factory foreman. 想辞去这么理想的工作，你最好三思而后行。You'd better think twice before leaving such a dream job. The idiom 三思而后行, literally think 3 times and then act, would sound more idiomatic in English as look before you leap, or you'd better give it serious thought first. And when departing this life, or dying, another expression for it besides 去世 and 过世 is 辞世。那位电影巨星辞世的新闻使我大吃一惊。News of the movie star's death left me in shock. 亲朋好友辞世，使我联想到我的日子有限。The death of friends and family reminds me that my own days are limited. Our second basic meaning of 辞 is refusing. In the phrases 不辞辛苦, literally not refusing hardship. In more natural English, that would be to spare no effort, take pains, or go to great lengths to do something. 你不辞辛苦地关照我父母，你真好。It's very kind of you to go out of your way to take care of my parents. 很多信徒不辞辛苦地赶过来听这位讲道者。Many believers went to great lengths to come hear this preacher speak. The remaining examples of 辞 refer to the general idea of speaking, beginning with 说辞, meaning what one claims to be true, which could merely be an excuse or a pretext. 这两个人都否认了你的说辞。These two people deny your claims. One's statements, or what one says, is rendered as 言辞。再多的言辞也无法使你了解我的心。No amount of words can make you understand how I feel inside. 行动而不是言辞至关重要。Actions, not words, are of extreme importance. Or actions speak louder than words. Since this is the first time I've used the phrase 至关重要 for extremely important or crucial, here are 2 more examples for practice. 你3个意见中，这一点至关重要。Of your 3 comments, this one is crucial. 你支持儿女，对他们的心理是至关重要。Your support for your children is vital to their mental health. One connotation of 令 from lesson 100 is the expression 时令 or seasons of the year. By combining 令 with 辞令, we get a phrase meaning language which is appropriate to the occasion. 动听的辞令不能完全相信. A silver tongue cannot be fully trusted. Or, you can't believe everything you hear. Now we move on to 3 new characters based on double 辛, that is, 2 辛with another element inserted between. It's pronounced fourth tone, 变. The original meaning was simply to split apart, and the extended sense of deciding which of 2 suspects is telling the truth. Later, this character split into 3 different ones, the first of which is double 辛, with the knife component between, emphasizing the idea of distinguishing between 2 or more items. It's also pronounced fourth tone, 变, with double 辛serving as the phonetic. Paired with 分, meaning to separate, we have the phrase 分辨, meaning to distinguish or tell apart. 肉眼无法分辨出这种差别. This difference cannot be discerned with the naked eye. 小赖和他哥哥几乎令人分辨不出. 小赖 and his brother are almost indistinguishable. A similar verb is 辨别, to see the difference between 2 or more items. 没有人比他有辨别真货的能力. No one knows the genuine product better than she does. 你一听他的口音，就能辨别他是哪里的人. You can tell where he's from just by his accent. Yet another verb is 辨明, to distinguish or discriminate between 2 or more things. 这件事要如何辨明真伪? How shall we distinguish between what's true from what's not? 在气头上，我无法辨明这两者之间的差别. In the heat of the moment, I couldn't differentiate between the 2. 认得 means to recognize, so 辨认 means to recognize or be able to identify something. 那封信有些字不易辨认. Some words in the letter were difficult to decipher. 天黑了，不好辨认有没有人在门口. It was dark and hard to tell if anyone was at the door. 那些合照太小了，人都不好辨认出来. Those group photos are too small to be able to recognize the faces. The second offshoot of double 辛 inserts the speech radical between the 2 knives or the 2 criminals, depending on how you interpret the character 辛. With the addition of 言, meaning speech, this new character is also pronounced fourth tone 辩. It means to argue, debate, or dispute. Since 白 indicates clear speaking, and 清白 means pure, clean, and without stain, the phrase 辩白 means to offer an explanation in one's defense, to plead innocence. 他是个无赖，你好意思为他辩白? He's a scoundrel, and you have the nerve to defend him? 我一句辩白的话也不说，站在那里挨骂. I didn't say a word in self-defense, just stood there getting chewed out. Similar to 辩白 is the character 辩 paired with 解 to create 辩解. 解, you recall from lesson 68, is a depiction of 2 hands cutting off a bull's horns. In other words, slaughtering and butchering the animal. Extended meanings include pulling apart, solving, and explaining complicated problems. 辩解, then, also means to provide justification, make excuses, or attempt to defend a person or a policy. 这是你的不对，不要辩解. This is your fault. Don't make excuses. 他的辩解不足以使我们听信. His justifications were not enough to convince us. 他为使之认可辩解的头头是道. He argued persuasively to get it approved. 之 here is the pronoun it. 头头是道 means to reason clearly and logically. We learned long ago that third tone 好 can also be pronounced fourth tone 好 when it means to be fond of or addicted to something. 好辩 would then naturally mean a person who loves to argue and disagree, someone who's disputatious or argumentative. 他因为好辩而跟人吵架. She gets into quarrels because she's so argumentative. To argue in a more formal way, to debate, pairs 辩 and 论 from lesson 44. You may recall that 论 depicts a bundle of bamboo strips under the cover reticle, indicating things collected together and arranged in proper order. With the speech reticle added, 论 refers to carefully collected and arranged speech, or as a verb, to discuss or debate. 他认为这个辩论都不得要领. He thinks this discussion totally misses the point. 我一定要就那个问题和你辩论. I will definitely debate you on that issue. 他生气了，没有心思再辩论下去了. He was angry and in no mood to continue the debate. 才 from lesson 4 is a pictogram of a sprouting plant that has pushed through the soil above it. And since a sprouting plant is a potential tree, this character indicates emerging potential, natural abilities and talents, or a person so endowed. 他的辩才在辩论会上常显现出来. She often displays her eloquence during debates. 辩论会 is an organized debate. 他们都很有辩才，我对他们是无言以对. They're all excellent debaters. I can't hold a candle to them. 力, you'll recall from way back in lesson 27, is a primitive plow used to break up hard soil. Here's a quick refresher slide. The most useful character in today's lesson takes the double 辛 phonetic and inserts the character 力 for strength between them. The pronunciation of this new character varies slightly from the other two. It's pronounced fourth tone 半 and originally meant to expend great effort, literally doubly painful effort. Now it's an all-purpose verb which varies in meaning from to do, handle, manage, prepare, or even to punish. One of the most common phrases is the question, 怎么办? What are we going to do? What are you going to do? 若下起雨来，户外活动怎么办? What do we do about the outdoor activities if it starts to rain? 我的电脑出问题了，不知道怎么办. My computer isn't working right, and I don't know what to do. To do official business according to the rules, or not let personal considerations interfere with legal matters, the phrase to use is 公事公办. Literally, official matters, handle officially. 我们都是朋友，可是这事一定要公事公办. We're all friends here, but this has to be handled in an open and business-like manner. when emphasizing that one person runs the whole show or takes care of everything without allowing others to interfere, the expression to use is 一手包办. 包 here meaning all-inclusive. 这个野外活动是他一手包办的. This outdoor activity was entirely arranged by her. 家中大小工作都是我一手包办. I take care of all the household duties myself. To say something can or cannot be accomplished, you can use 办到, 办得到, or 办不到. 别人能办到的，我们也能办得到. If other people can manage to do it, we can too. 世界上没有其他人可以办得到. No one else on this green earth can accomplish it. 你们认真的话，天下没有办不到的事. If you set about it in earnest, nothing in this world is impossible. A means, method, or way is rendered as 办法. To say I can't help it, or there's nothing that can be done, 没有办法 is nearly every Chinese person's pet phrase. 问题是，我没有办法不想. The thing is, I can't help thinking about it. 领班没有办法为我们破例. There is no way the head waiter can make an exception for us. 他不招认没关系，我有办法了. It doesn't matter if he won't admit it. I have a solution. 我们必须想办法顺利完成这件事. We must find a way to complete the job smoothly. 对不起，你想出的办法是行不通的. Sorry, but the method you came up with won't work. 办事 means to handle business, manage affairs, or to work. 办事机构 would be an administrative body. 她在一家银行当办事员. She works as a clerk in a bank. 你的办事能力十分高明. You have an amazing ability to get things done. 他办事认真又敬业，一丝不苟. He's conscientious and very meticulous in what he does. Notice the idiom 一丝不苟 from lesson 98, meaning literally, not one strand of silk out of place. 你必须照合约上的规定办事. You must handle the matter as stipulated in the contract. And of course, at the end of one's life, there are certain arrangements to be made, called 办后事 in Chinese. 人过世，他的亲人理当要及时办后事. When a person dies, his or her relatives ought promptly to make funeral arrangements. To handle official business or work in an office is 办公, and the office itself is 办公室. 她辞去了办公室工作. She quit her office job. 这几个月来，我们办公室人手不够. Our office has been understaffed these past few months. In lesson 73, we saw that in ancient times, Li was a settlement of 25 families and the surrounding land. In hilly areas, the hillsides were often terraced for ease of cultivation, with farm plots conforming to the natural landscape. Continuing in lesson 74, we learned that Li, with the jade radical, originally meant to work jadestone, incorporating the various terrace-like layers of color into a work of art. From this process stems the meaning of to arrange, as in 理家, direct, as in 理事, or manage, as in 理财, just as the sculptor manages to bring forth the stratified layers of color in his block of jade. Now we have 办理, meaning to handle, conduct, or transact. 你的驾照办理好了吗? Have you applied for your driver's license? 这些事 都可以通过电话来办理。These matters can all be handled over the telephone. 这个问题不能拖太久，请速照规定办理。This issue cannot be delayed too long. Please resolve it quickly in accordance with regulations. To establish, found, or set up a factory, school, or other organizations, 创办 is the phrase to use. 几个银行家创办了个新的机构。Several bankers have founded a new institution. 创办这个工厂花了好几年的时间。It took several years getting this factory set up and running. In Lesson 21, I introduced the character 宀, the pictograph of an oil lamp with a dot representing the flame. And since the flame and its radiant light are essential to the purpose of a lamp, 宀, as an adjective, means primary, chief, or main. As a noun, it translates as master, lord, or host. And as a verb, it means to take charge of, preside over, or to officiate at some ceremony or event. By pairing 宀 with 办, we have the director or sponsor of an event. 如有问题，请电洽活动主办机构。If you have any questions, please call the event organizer. In Lesson 84, we learned that fourth tone 照 depicted a ritual to attract one's ancestral spirits by using the scent of wine. Later, a hand radical was added, creating 照, meaning to attract, summon, or welcome, not just ancestral spirits, but any guests or travelers. Replacing the hand with the sun radical formed first tone 照, meaning to throw bright light, bright sunlight, on something to attract attention to it. Later still, the four-dot fire radical was included underneath, inventing the fourth tone 照, to indicate a flaming torch for illuminating the path in front. Finally, a person naturally follows this illuminated path to avoid obstacles, giving 照 the extended connotation of to follow or according to, somewhat akin to the English expression in view of this or in light of this. Now we can better understand 照办, meaning to act accordingly, or to comply with an order or request. 这些命令必须立刻照办. These orders must be carried out immediately. 这一切我都一丝不苟地照办了. I meticulously followed proper procedure in taking care of everything. 办法我已跟你讲了，是否照办是你的事。I've told you the method. It's up to you whether to follow it or not. Here is our color chart with today's 6 characters. 宀, 辞, 宰, 变, another, 变, and 办. Here's a recap from today's lesson. 1. This lesson contains 6 characters, all based on the ceremonial knife, xin, used originally for religious bloodletting, and later for tattooing criminals or amputating their body parts as punishment. Today's characters all derive from the meaning of xin, representing criminals and criminality. 2. Today's first character is composed of 宀 as phonetic with xin underneath, meaning crime, guilt, or criminal negligence. Naturally, 无辜 means innocent or without guilt, and 辜负 translates as turning one's back on or neglecting the expectations others have placed on us. 3. The second character adds the roof radical above 辛 to depict 宰, the slaughter and butchering of sacrificial animals, and later, by extension, sacrificing humans in the phrases 宰了 and 挨宰. The slave in charge of preparing animals as offerings to the gods later became an official government position known as 宰相 in ancient China, which translates as a sort of prime minister today. From this position comes the term 主宰, meaning to be in charge, govern, or control. 4. Today's third character combines the left element of 乱 with 辛 to create 辞, depicting a suspect appearing before a judge to disentangle the facts and accusations against him and clear his name. This process gave rise to 3 basic actions: speaking out in one's defense and refusing to accept the allegations being made. This refusal to accept was later extended to mean to turn and leave or to depart, and when referring to employment, to resign, literally, to refuse to continue on the job and leave. 5. The final 3 characters are all offshoots of double 辛, apparently depicting 2 suspects face-to-face, hurling accusations back and forth, which would naturally require a judge to pull them apart and decide which one is telling the truth. Double 辛 serves only as a phonetic now. The insertion of a knife in the middle resulted in 变, which took over the original meaning of separation or telling apart, as in 分辨 and 辨别. Inserting the speech radical 言 emphasized the arguing and debating going on between the accused, giving us 辩白, 辩解, and 辩论. And finally, inserting the plow radical 力 created 办, which could, I'm guessing here, have indicated the physical strength needed to separate the 2 persons being accused, or the mental stamina required to ascertain the truth of their words and reach a conviction. Today, however, 办 is an all-purpose verb meaning to do, as in 办法 and 办事, to handle, as in 办理, to manage, as in 主办, and so forth. Now you will find a short quiz on double, triple character, and longer expressions. Answer using only the characters learned so far. Thank you for watching and listening.